this is why I came back, because this is the life I want my children to know. And, you know, there are certain cultural amenities that are lacking here. But that's all right. You know, you get the kind of nourishment you need, and you can always go to the city later and you can get those cultural amenities, your museums, your theater. And asking you if you really want to put your personal innermost thoughts out there. And then I remember what Emerson said, to believe in your own thought, to believe that what is true for you is true for every man. You know what they say, old buildings, politicians, and whores all get respectable if they stick around long enough. So I'm not sure that I've been around quite long enough yet. There are a lot of things going around in my head right now. I'm still trying to adjust from going for 3 years in the studio to the what might be called the marketing aspect of the album. I've always felt uncomfortable trying to sell myself or to sell product as it's so lovingly called in the industry. At this stage of the game, my skin has become a little bit thicker. You know, I don't expect to get Valentines from everybody.
It was an inside job, found it well connected. Chalk it up to business as usual.
Words. I love words. I love language. I love poetry. I love books. It's one of the most important things to me. And I fear sometimes that we're losing the language.
All in this love, I found strength.
My mother, bless her heart, tried to, and my father tried to afford me as many opportunities as they could. And we weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but we were comfortable. You know, my father made a good living, and my mother kept the house, and they tried to give me everything. You know, they gave me a college education. They got me the drums, which changed my life, I guess. So I owe them a lot. This video is sort of a tribute to them, and to my father in particular, because he loved. Someday, I guess I'll stay put. You know, I'll figure out where home exactly is, and put down roots and be able to fully live in one place. Because there's part of me that really longs to fully exist in one place and get to know it completely. Not only on this album, but previous albums. Where is home? What is home? What is community? What is commitment? It's me walking.
Will you sign while you're here?
Sure. Am I in there? I thought I always avoided those things.
You attended that day.
Now, trouble with you and me, my friend, is the trouble with this nation.
Did you bring any rod and reel?
Can't
In the car?
make it.
Oh, in the car. Okay. To see if it's right, to see if it's correct, to see if it's too loud or too soft, to see if the sound has the right texture. I'm constantly critiquing it and trying to get it right. So it's not like I'm just sort of enjoying singing the song. That'll come later when we get in front of an audience. But in the rehearsal process, the goal is to get it to a certain point. If people haven't heard songs on the radio, it's very difficult for them to relate. And we're going to be up against that a little bit at the beginning of this tour, because the tour starts before the album comes out. So it's a really good test of a song. If it can hold people's attention and captivate their interest, it's very helpful. very much before you record them. I only get familiar with them on the spot, usually. So you've got to sing them several times to learn where to breathe and to kind of get your vocal cords used to making those melodies. With the newer material, I want it to sound like the record because really people really aren't familiar with the record yet. Some of the older tunes, we've gone the opposite direction. We've reworked them so that they don't sound anything like the record. You really have to keep it interesting for the band as well as for the audience, because we have to play these tunes every night, over and over and over again. And like anything else, it gets a little stale sometimes, and you gotta figure out ways to keep it fresh.
Nobody on the road, nobody on the beach, feel it in the air, summer's out.
I always enjoyed seeing artists do songs differently. You know, you get a different perspective on the song. You might even get a different meaning out of it when somebody does it differently. And I think the new arrangements for these songs are really good. I think they're as interesting, if not more interesting, than the original versions. At least they are to me. And I hope the audience thinks so as well. But it was just time, it was time to do that. And I've got a band here that's capable of figuring this stuff out and willing to do the work. It's always work when you come up with a new arrangement. You can really wreck a song if it doesn't get the right treatment. So these guys have been really sensitive to working these new arrangements out. I think I'll take credit for that. I think it was me. But I only did that after I realized that we had a couple of guys who could actually play trombone. My new keyboard player, Mike Thompson, and my old high school buddy, Richard, here. And it's cool. It's really a nice new color. Take a 10-minute break before we do this. Okay. I gotta go make a phone call. The auditions went on for weeks, and it's grueling. You bring people in and you play 3 or 4 songs, and we were auditioning 3 and 4 people a day, and you do the same thing over and over and over again. It sort of wears me out, but you got to give everybody a fair shot. And it's not only about the musicianship, it's about how people look, it's about their personalities. That's a big one with me. I don't want any yackers. When I'm not on stage, I want to live in a quiet world. What I love about touring is going across America. I love the country, and I love to revisit towns that I've been to before, and there's a sense of familiarity. You start to feel like a citizen of the world. You start to feel at home anywhere. You know what the good restaurants are. You know where the great barbecue or the great hamburgers are, where the great Italian restaurant is. You can do some antique shopping if you have time. There are great things about every city. And you get to know the theaters and the venues intimately. You know the dressing rooms. You know what the buildings, what the venues are going to sound like acoustically. Whether it's going to be, an echo nightmare, or if it's going to sound good, and you can sort of make adjustments because you're familiar with the places. And that part of it I really enjoy. You really get a sense of America or wherever you happen to be when you tour, and you get to blow into town and be the center of attention for a little while, and then you get to blow out of town again, you know. I think I have a pretty good work ethic. I think I got it from my dad and from my mother. Glenn certainly has a great work ethic, especially when it comes to rehearsals and things like that. Jackson Browne has a great work ethic. Learned a lot from watching him. When I first met Jackson, he would get up at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and start writing songs. That was unheard of. You know, nobody wrote songs in the morning. He's like, what? Well, the rest of us are kind of walking around with coffee. You know, he'd be playing and singing. But now, I like to do it in the morning as well, when the world is fresh, you know, before the world creeps in and wrecks your day. Or, before your mind gets cluttered with all that other stuff that takes away from your art, that takes away all those big thoughts of big things on the higher planes, you know, before you get dragged down into the muck of everyday life. So I'm becoming more of a morning person as the years go by. I'd reached a point in my career where I thought I had accomplished enough for a while, and I wanted to do some other things with my success. I wanted to put something back. I wanted to give something back to society and to the culture and to some of the causes that I care about. My concerns are, I mean, I have broad concerns, but I can't act on them. You know, life, there aren't enough hours in the day, and life isn't long enough. There are a million causes out there, and most of them are worthy. But I have tried to confine most of my activism and most of my concern to the environment because I think it's the bottom line. I think the environment is the underlying foundation of everything else that's wrong in society, which is a pretty broad and some might say reckless statement, but I believe I don't see why the Dow Jones matters if there's no clean air and no clean water and no arable soil to grow things in. Our whole economic system is based on the environment. Everything that we extract from the earth, everything that we exploit in the ground is what is the foundation for our economy. And people behave as if it's limitless. Environmentalism shouldn't be a fad. It shouldn't be something that comes and goes. It should be part of our consciousness every day, because it is the thing that sustains us. It is the thing that makes life possible on this planet. As I said before, I've wanted to film down here for quite some time. It's stunning. It's visually stunning. I do quite like it. Should be shot through air.
We've worked with Don a lot over the years on some of his environmental projects. He was very active in trying to save Caddo Lake when there was a threat of building a barge canal through there. And he also started the Caddo Lake Scholars Program, and he's from this area, so there's a lot of interest in following his career.
My concentration is basically on the Walden Woods Project and on the Caddo Lake Institute. Those are both my organizations. I do help other people because other people help me. It's a quid pro quo with me and a lot of other people. And the people in the rock and roll business and the people in the film industry have been very kind and generous to me, and they've helped me accomplish a great deal. Both in Massachusetts and here in Texas. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm proud to be a part of that community. But Walden Woods and Walden Pond are where the idea of conservation began in America. and where the idea of nonviolent protest began in America. I had a weathered paperback copy of Walden tucked under my arm, like a lot of other kids. It was the Back to Nature movement, except nobody quite made it. A few people went back and stayed, but most people came back to the city and bought BMWs. And I think everybody has a duty and a responsibility to give something back to the community. Not on a large scale particularly. You don't have to go around saving forests and entire woods and American shrines or anything, but everybody can do a little bit, you know, just for your own community, in your own backyard, in your own field, in your own lake. There is something in every community that needs help. Yes, ma'am. What? Is that my cue?